An excerpt from Wolves on the Border by Robert N. Charette. Read by the Dapper Bard. The mention of the mercenary's name cut through the noise around Takashi Karita and captured his attention. He turned to look across the room at the short man standing at the top of the stairs. Despite his size, the mercenary's presence suddenly dominated the room. It was plain that Wolf was agitated. He hefted a meter-long bundle swathed in black and silver brocaded fabric. The motion made his wolf's head epaulette glitter with a hard light that matched the look in his eyes. People sidled away from that cold stare. Wolf's gaze met Takashi's. The coordinator knew instantly whom the mercenary was seeking. Wolf stared down the stairs in Takashi's direction, the crowd melting away from him. Even the gallant senior officers and officials who surrounded Takashi slipped out of the mercenary's path, all except Yorinaga Karita. Takashi read the tension between the two mech warriors as they stood face to face. Almost imperceptibly, Wolf nodded. Yorinaga relaxed, satisfied that Wolf was no physical danger to his cousin. Yorinaga Karita nodded in return, but held his ground. Takashi laid a hand on Yorinaga's shoulder, signaling his acceptance of the mercenary's presence with a squeeze. The younger Karita bowed and stepped back to take a watchful position a few meters away. Wolf stripped the fabric from his burden. As the paired swords came into view, Yorinaga took a half step forward. Comstar had forbidden all weapons at the festivities, but somehow Wolf had managed to bring in these. Yorinaga halted when the weapons clattered to the floor at Takashi's feet. Takashi looked down at the swords. The shorter one had landed atop the longer. A dark reddish stain marred the lacquer on the upper sword's hilt and covered one of the Mon symbols. The other symbols were still clear and white against the black background. He recognized the Tetsuhara family crest. When Takashi raised his eyes towards Wolf, the mercenary launched into fluent and rapid Japanese of a blunt and disrespectful form. Those are all that is left of a good man. When you return them to his family, you won't have to lie. You can tell them he stood by his honor till the end. I hope you're satisfied with what you have arranged. You were a fool to force him to this. Takashi's face was hard. By sheer force of will, he restrained his anger. He started to speak, but Wolf forged ahead. You thought you could do better than Anton Merrick, didn't you? Thought you had the answers he missed. You were wrong. You certainly spilled more blood. You even cost us more property. But that counts little against the lives you took. We Dragoons set great store by our people. No one touches them and gets away with it. No one! It's all been for nothing, you know. You've failed. The Dragoons are clear of the Combine and ready to fight. We have survived both your puny schemes and your overrated military might. We've whipped your warlord and left him licking his wounds. You really should get a better thug to do your dirty work. Wolf paused, his immediate rage spent. The gold braid cord looped under his right armpit trembled with the tension in his body. When Takashi spoke, his voice was calm and even, like one trying to calm a dangerous beast. You misunderstand, Colonel Wolf. This, he said, indicating the swords at his feet, was never my wish. I valued Minobu Tetsuhara. Samsonov did not act with my approval. I warned you that others would take independent action. Save your lies for the gullible, Wolf snapped. You've paid a high price, and you don't even know the whole of what you've bought. If I thought you were an honorable man, I'd make it personal. From this day, the Dragoons are at war with you and your house, Takashi Karita. If you think you can take us, go ahead and try. We'll see you in ruins. Watch your border. Wolf stopped, slightly out of breath. Takashi could see that Wolf might have run out of words, but that his store of rage was far from emptied. Nothing Takashi could say could change the man's heart. The coordinator bowed slightly to acknowledge his understanding. Wolf's nostrils flared and his jaw clenched. He turned his back on the coordinator and stalked off across the hall, black boots striking hard against the polished surface of inlaid marble. Wolves on the Border tells the story of the Wolf's Dragoons as they take a contract with House Kurita. Much of the book is told from the perspective of Minobu Tetsuhara. From his point of view and some of the other points of view we get in the book, we see how tensions start to rise as the Dragoons prove to be a little too good from the Kurita point of view. However, Tetsuhara grows a strong bond of friendship with Jamie Wolf, which puts him at odds with Warlord Samsonov's desire to either crush the wolves or make them subservient. The book has some interesting twists and turns throughout it, even if you already know what the ending will be, which admittedly I spoiled at the beginning of this video and in my BattleTech faction briefing videos on Wolf's Dragoons. However, there is still plenty more beyond the ending to keep the reader engaged. Some of the standout moments in the book are the chapters dedicated to the Battle of Quinton, where you get to see Tetsuhara's type of strategy, the Dragoons' type of strategy, and the interference by coordinator Takashi Kurita. In addition to that, there's some wonderful moments where Jamie and Minobu discuss philosophy. As boring as that might sound on paper, they are really wonderful conversations that get into the deeper beliefs of these two characters and how they contrast each other. Finally, we have the Battle of Anting, which is really good and definitely has a strong build-up that makes the payoff of the battle incredibly exciting. There are a few weaknesses in this book. First off, there's a sequence with the Black Widows that doesn't really seem to go anywhere. It's just there to show off the Black Widows doing Black Widow things, I guess. Also, the Battle of Misery really doesn't capture the sheer amount of losses the Dragoons take in the course of that battle, primarily due to the fact that the majority of the characters we're following around in the story survive that battle, so that kind of lowers the stakes in its own way. Finally, one of the villains is not fully resolved in the course of this book, which kind of feels like a bummer when that character has been a massive jerk the entire time. One of the strengths of this book are the characters, and three of the standouts are Minobu Tetsuhara, who you get to see him fall from grace, rise up to grandeur, and have, of course, his tragic ending, making him an amazing tragic hero that really stands out amongst characters in the BattleTech universe. The second is Jamie Wolf. This is the first form of fiction where I really felt like I got to know Jamie Wolf, and because of that, it made me really like him as a character and want to read more stories involving him and the Dragoons. Finally, there's Jerry Akuma, one of the antagonists in the story, who is such a scumbag throughout the entire book that you really want to see him get his comeuppance. And more than that, he really functions as a great foil to Tetsuhara in the way that he is also following the honor codes, but in a more self-serving way versus Tetsuhara's more altruistic way. These three characters really help make the story, and as these are three of our point of view characters, the author utilizes them very well. This book features deep characters, backstabbing villains, and some intense mech battles. Also, unlike most of the BattleTech novels from the 80s, this one has aged fairly well, due to the skill of the author and the later 80s understanding of how the BattleTech universe works. Thus, there is less vagueness with certain mechs, and the difficulties of war, as we understand them in the BattleTech universe, really do fit in with how this story is told. If my faction briefing on the Wolf's Dragoons caught your attention, and you have some interest in reading some BattleTech novels, then Wolves on the Border is a great starting point for any fan of the BattleTech universe. It will help with understanding the complexities of the Draconis Combine, as well as show the camaraderie that holds the Wolf's Dragoons together. If you are already an avid BattleTech reader and you haven't read this book, then I suggest that Wolves on the Border be the next book in your BattleTech reading lineup. Before I go, I just wanted to address the inconsistencies with Tetsuhara's design in the artwork. It seems like no two artists can agree on what this character should look like. So much so, I even used Afro Samurai as his image in one of my videos because the book states that he has dark skin. This is one of the odd issues that happens with long-running mixed media franchises. Oftentimes, there is just no consistency, and it really isn't anyone's fault, due to the fact that we constantly have a changing staff and different people who view the series and the characters in different ways. I'm really glad I finally got the chance to make this video. Truth be told, I'd been wanting to do a BattleTech short story reading, or reading one of my favorite passages from a book, for quite some time now. The Wolf's Dragoons BattleTech faction briefing gave me the excuse to actually create this video, and I'm glad I did. It's fun being able to share a part of BattleTech that you really love, which in my case is the fiction, with other people out there, and hopefully I've convinced some of you to give Wolves on the Border a chance. Thank you for watching. This was a very fun video to make. If you want to see more of my dramatic reading or some more BattleTech book reviews, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and all that goodness, and look forward to the next BattleTech faction briefing coming very soon. Until then, I'll see you at the tavern.